It's early Sunday morning on Earth, but I'm still on Arcadia time, so I lie down for a quick nap, telling Sam to make sure I am up in a couple hours. While I'm having my nap, Sam contacts Trank, informing him the big-ass cruise ship is our transport for the people we will take to Arcadia. Trank thanks her for the information and tells her it is an impressive ship. Ah, a short nap, and I feel wide awake. I grab a DD coffee from Chef and call for Sam, so we can go over anything interesting that's happened while we were gone. The most notable things were, of course, China and Russia's recognition of our sovereignty and America's silence. One other thing was Angela McKee trying to get hold of me. I asked Sam to call her and see what was up. Apparently, Angela is pissed because somehow the video of our interview got destroyed. She gave the tape to her professor, who oversees the campus news, and when they went to view it a few hours later, both the tape and casing were torn and smashed. She is pissed because the professor won't give her credit for the interview and told her to submit something else. Sam tells her we have a copy on a USB drive she can have, and she should make a copy for herself and keep it somewhere safe. I tell Sam to first keep an eye on the video just in case something happens to it again. I want to go to the apartment so we can give her the USB drive then. We open the windows in the apartment to let it air out for a while. Angela comes by for the USB drive and thanks us for saving her ass, as she put it. We wander over to the campus and hang out there for a while. I notice a lot more people looking at us, and some even wave, so we wave back. We are getting ready to leave when security warns us of a potential visitor coming our way. Sam and I both look and see a hot-looking blonde sorority girl who walks up to us and gives me a piece of paper. I look at the paper and see a bunch of female names. The girl is just standing there, so I ask who she is and what she wants. She says she is Priscilla Prudoma, and the paper she gave me is a list of people who she thinks should go with us to Arcadia. I point out to her that I don't know her and have never offered to take her to Arcadia. She says she knows that, but since I am the king of Arcadia and she is the president of the best sorority on campus, that we need to be together and she will be my queen. I see Sam smirking, so I ask Priscilla for her Arcadian cap card, and she gives me her Confederacy cap card. I see her score is 4.5 and pass the card to Sam. I ask Priscilla if she has taken the enhanced cap test yet. She says she hasn't, but because she will be my queen, she shouldn't have to. I tell her no one goes to Arcadia without taking the enhanced test, and even then that doesn't guarantee they will be asked to go. I silently ask Sam what her subscores are like, and she replies they are all very low except arrogance, selfishness, and manipulation. Her mothering score is 0.1. I tell her that her cap score would only qualify her to go as a concubine with the Confederacy, and that she should look up what going as a concubine entails. I'm sorry, Priscilla, but I won't be taking you to Arcadia, and you most certainly won't be my queen. But look at me. I'm fucking hot, and I can do things to you with my body that will drive you crazy. Yes, you are pretty, but look at my Sam. She is much hotter than you are and already drives me crazy enough. Have a good day, Priscilla. Sam and I walk away, leaving behind a sputtering Priscilla, and Sam says, I'm your Sam? And I'm hot and drive you crazy? Yes, you are, and yes, you do. You know that. You all do. I've told you and the girls that more than once. I know, and we all know, DD. It was nice to hear you say it, though. Okay, Sam, take us home. Back on board the J&J, we are told we missed a speech from the American president concerning our sovereignty. He said that he accepts our sovereignty, and if it was up to him, the politicians would have by now too, and he doesn't know what was taking so long. He urged the politicians to get on the ball and formally recognize the sovereignty of Arcadia and its leader, so his team could start talking trade with us. Huh, cool. Now let's see if they get their collective asses in gear. I tell her to see about setting up possible visits this summer to Russia and China, then India if they recognize our sovereignty, with maybe other countries to follow. I ask her to contact the countries that hold a lot of the items on the list of things needed by Arcadia, and we could talk trade with them if they recognize our sovereignty. She tells me she will get started first thing in the morning. Damn, here goes my cell phone, saying more programs that I don't use need to be updated. I can't uninstall them, even though I have never used them. I ask Sam if there is anything we can do to get rid of the programs. She tells me we can get rid of the programs and also make the phone unhackable and untraceable. Man, I had no idea. Yes, please take the thing and do your magic with it. I take it there is a lot more advanced tech in the IT and comms fields than what Earth currently uses? Much more advanced, DD. We use the most advanced tech in our ships, shields, etc. for protecting Arcadia and you. But we think you are right in saying to let the earlier knowledge and theory behind our tech be taught in our schools. And as you said, see what humans come up with. Though I would recommend going to first satellite phones on Arcadia, as there would be no signal loss anywhere, and the phones are about the same size as your SS9 Plus, Samsung 9 Plus. I asked Sam and the girls if they want to go with me and check out the cruise ship. Sam contacts the first on board and lets them know we are coming over. We take a look at it on the TV screen before going, and one thing I can say is it is huge. 1,400 m in length x, 200 m in width x, 280 m in height, 4 cargo decks and 86 passenger decks, able to transport around 255,000 passengers. It looks just like a big-ass seagoing cruise ship without the balconies on the outside. We transport over to the bridge, and here Guardian Prime is aboard. As soon as we appear, I tell the commander and crew to carry on as they were and ask the commander if he would give us a quick tour. He says he would be delighted to and shows us around. The seats look very comfortable, similar to an airline's business class seats, and are arranged equivalent to Premium Plus airline spacing. You can stretch out, just not fully flat. Commander, it's while they are in the seats that the people will get the medical checkup and citizen ID chip, correct? How does that work? Yes, sire, that is correct. When the person is first seated, the seat will recline and a force field will enclose the person in the seat. The person will fall asleep and the medical checkup and citizen ID chip will be done at that time. The person will be kept asleep for 3 hours before being woken and given instructions on the screen in front of them. They will be able to wander around through access to other sections of the ship will be closed until we are underway. Excellent explanation, Commander. Thank you. I see there are many "You Are Here" video screens on each deck with a placard informing the person how to use the device to find out how to get back to their seat. Simply pass your Arcadia card in front of the screen, or state your name as it appears on your Arcadia card, or state your deck and seat number. Suite should be simple enough to use. There are 9,750 hostess androids, giving a ratio of 26 passengers, more or less per hostess, and 975 food replicators, recyclers, for a ratio of 262 passengers per replicator recycler. An awesome thing I notice is that a passenger has access to the food menu database on their seat's video screen and can place their order from their seat, and then a hostess android would bring it to them. Each seat could place one meal order during their mealtime, and then the food menu would not be available until their next mealtime. Damn, I want to fly on this ship. There are also 7,800 bathrooms, one for every 33 passengers. The commander said the passenger configurations could be completely changed within 24, 36 hours, depending on how it was to be configured. There were templates for luxury cabins, standard cabins, more spacious seating, as well as for amenities such as swimming pools, fitness centers, salons, etc. Pretty much everything you'd find on an ocean-going cruise ship. But this cruise ship would be for cruising the stars, not bodies of water. Commander, I think you just named your ship. What do you think about naming her Star Cruiser? Really, sire? The Star Cruiser would be aptly named, that is for sure. Will you be turning it into a cruise ship for cruising the stars after all the colonists are on Arcadia? Yes, I think we probably will, Commander. I take it you would be interested in remaining her commander? Most definitely, sire, most definitely. Excellent, Commander. Sam will keep me from forgetting when the time comes. Until then, we need to find a lot of suitable people to take to Arcadia and create our society. Take care, Commander. Sam transports us back to the J&J, where she tells me I just made another first very happy. I just smiled and shrugged my shoulders. Sam, make sure all the information about the Star Cruiser gets put on the website. Have them put an animated model of it online so people can see for themselves how they'll be traveling to Arcadia. I'm also thinking of what the commander said, Sam, about cruising the stars. What do you think of our creating another shuttle, like mine, but with luxury seating, a few more observations decks, android hostesses, etc., and take the rich and famous for cruises around the solar system? Say a 6-hour cruise, showing them all the planets in Earth's solar system? I'm thinking 5 observation lounges, 45 m long, x 20 m wide, x 4 m high, with business class plus seating style should give us at least a 600 passenger capacity. I bet they'd pay at least a couple million for a ticket. Tell me honestly, Sam, do you think the rich and famous would go for it? I think they would, Dee. Keep it exclusive to them for the most part, but throw in a trip or two to a charity as well. Okay, great. Put it in my memory bank and remind me again once we've gotten ahead on things. I mean to have the money we need to do everything we need to do, Sam. I don't want to not be able to do what is needed due to lack of money. I believe there will be more than enough, and that money will be the least of your worries. Just don't try and get too many things started at the same time. Keep an easy pace so that everything is doable and doesn't need to be rushed. I'll count on you to keep me in check, Sam, and not go overboard or get in over my head. You know I will, Dee. Another Monday morning, another new week, and here's to hoping the American government recognizes Arcadia's sovereignty soon. I grab a coffee from Chef and go sit across from Sam at the table. I ask her if the commanders have anything new to report, and she says the solar system is quiet. I ask if we have all the pieces replicated yet for the orbital factory replicator, and am told we do, and once I give the okay, the androids will start putting it together. I tell her I'll do that as soon as we have some trade agreements signed. I tell her I want to go to the office building this morning after my workout and check in with Mark and Dean. We also need to go over results from the enhanced cap tests and see if there are candidates for migration to Arcadia yet. Sam tells me that the number of people taking the enhanced test has risen significantly worldwide. However, the numbers are even higher in America. I also reminded her to contact Russia, China, and India about possible trade talks, and to contact some State Department equivalents of the other Western countries as well. Sam said she would get started first thing. I had a good workout doing 30 minutes on an elliptical machine and 30 minutes with weights. A nice shower, then breakfast. It is so much easier getting a meal from Chef than making it myself. And down to the office we go. We go and see Dean first, and he reports that everything is fine, though he does ask about the weapons department. Was I going to disband it and move it to Arcadia or leave it as is? I told him I was going to leave it here on Earth, but I was going to put the bug in some people's ears about asking the Confederacy now for the weapons they promised. This would hopefully allow time for training purposes as well as for R&D companies to learn the tech behind the weapons and maybe improve the weapon or come up with something even better. So they won't be getting any Arcadia tech here on Earth to work on? Military weapons or tech, no. I won't trade or sell any of those to any Earth government. Other Arcadia tech will become available, but only with countries that Arcadia trades with. Okay, thanks, Dee. I will pass that on to everyone. Please do, Dean. I do hope we get some that want to go to Arcadia, though. They'll learn new theory and tech, and I'd love to see what they come up with. Say hi to Marcia and let me know if you need anything. We head to Mark's office, see that he is in, and stop and chat for a few minutes. We leave Mark's office and decide to head over to a cafe near the campus, and wouldn't you know it, there were still a few newsies out front. I was surprised that there was no shouting as soon as they saw us. Maybe they were getting civilized. One reporter steps forward and asks if we had time to answer a few questions. I said sure, and thanked them for not shouting questions as soon as they saw us. The reporter that stepped forward starts by welcoming us back from our vacation on Arcadia, saying that Guardian City looks like a beautiful city. She then asks, "Have you heard the rumors that the politicians are putting together a trade proposal?" Thank you. We had a great vacation. Arcadia is a beautiful planet, and Guardian City is a beautiful, amazing city, just waiting for people from Earth to come and live there. I hope people will visit the website and take a look at the many interesting photos from our trip and stay in Guardian City and decide they want to live there. We are in the early stages of the process, and things are underway. And after graduating from the university, I will be concentrating more on making that happen. So, go take the enhanced cap test. You may have seen the ship that came back with us, the one that looks like a huge cruise ship. Well, it is a cruise ship. It is called the Star Cruiser, and it is the ship that will take people wanting to live on Arcadia to Arcadia once we are ready to go. Details on it can be found on the Arcadia website. In response to your question about the rumors, Yes, I have heard them, but they are only rumors. And until a proposal is presented to us, there is only one thing I will say. China and Russia have already recognized Arcadia's sovereignty and have made no overtures about trade talks being any kind of quid pro quo for this. In the meantime, while the American president has said he recognizes our sovereignty, no American politician has. And as you said, rumor has it the American politicians are putting together a trade proposal. Apparently, the rumored proposal numbers close to 500 pages, and a vast majority of the proposal is about their wanting preferred status over other countries, wanting Arcadia military weapons and tech for the American military only, and access to unspecified Arcadian tech. I have been adamant since the beginning that Arcadia will not sell or trade military weapons or tech to any country on Earth. I reconfirmed this to both the Russian and Chinese presidents when their representatives contacted us during our vacation. So obviously they have heard the rumor about this proposal as well. I will also add at this time that Arcadia will not trade in technology that will directly lead to Earth, or any race for that matter, becoming a spacefaring planet. Earth and every race must discover that technology on its own. Next question. A reporter says, but we are already a spacefaring planet? The countries on Earth are what I will call space-capable, but they are not spacefaring. They have the capability to send something out into space, but have not sent a citizen anywhere in Earth's solar system other than the moon or the space station. And as of this time, no country has the ability to do any more than that. It is also beyond the means of a vast majority of the people on Earth to travel to either of these places. But we have people in space right now with the Confederacy. Those people from Earth that get extracted become Confederacy soldiers and citizens. Next question. Another reporter asks, have you contacted any other countries about trade talks? While I am sure there are many countries that already recognize our sovereignty, I do not believe we have yet contacted any in regards to starting trade talks. Though I do believe we will be contacting Russia, China, and some others relatively soon. Sam, is that correct? Can you add anything? Yes, you are correct, sire. At this time, we have not contacted other countries about possible future trade talks. Why won't you sell or trade Arcadia weapons or tech? First, anything that I trade to one country would be available to every country. No exceptions. Second, and most importantly, is that the Confederacy is contracted to provide weapons for Earth governments to fight the swarm on Earth, and I can not initiate talks for the same as per my agreement with the Confederacy. The Earth governments may want to ask the Confederacy about getting that equipment soon for training purposes. And so R&D companies, such as the one behind me, can learn the technology behind the weapons and maybe improve the weapon or create something new. Okay, one last question, then we have to go. What will you do if American politicians won't officially recognize Arcadia's sovereignty? What will I do? Well, if they don't, I'll look at the options available and decide then. I'm sure there are many countries that would like to trade with Arcadia. I don't think we will be lacking in that regard. In the meantime, the American president has asked the politicians to recognize us. And since Russia and China have already done so, I will wait a little longer and see if America does. I'm hoping they won't take too much longer. I will say this, though. I don't know why anyone would think I'd want to trade with someone who won't recognize us as a sovereign entity. If a country does not want to recognize Arcadia's sovereignty, that is fine. It is their choice, and the people of that country will still be welcome to apply for migration to Arcadia, should they want to. However, Arcadia simply won't conduct any trade with said country, nor allow others to trade or sell Arcadia equipment or tech to them. Simple enough, no? Okay, that's all we have time for today. Thank you all for being more respectful to both myself and Sam, as well as to each other. Enjoy your day. Sam and I leave the area and continue our walk towards the campus. Well, Sam, tell me what you thought of that press Q&A session. It went very well, more questions than previous times, but they were all civilized and not shouting over one another. I will say you gave the American politicians something to think about, and I'm pretty sure that is what you wanted, isn't it? Yes, it was, Sam. Yes, it was. We arrive at the cafe on campus and decide, since it is such a nice day out, to sit on a picnic table and enjoy the weather. We talked about some things we still needed to do, like open a bank account for Arcadia. Sam said she'd take care of that today, and open a Swiss numbered account. I asked Sam to get hold of the web girls and see if it was possible to create and show some animated people living and working in Guardian City. Show a neighborhood with stores turned into bakeries, butcher shops, clothes, shoes, etc., and allow them to virtually buy things. Basically show them an example of what their neighborhood could be like in Guardian City. Even show some people as Elven and Darien to see how Earth people will react to living with aliens. Sam said that would be great for Guardian City, as people may have a hard time imagining life there right now, as the city is empty on the website. She passes the requests on right away. Sire, there are 4 females approaching directly to your front. They are unarmed. Okay, thank you, Fortune. 1. Just keep an eye on them and on our surroundings. They are pretty and may have jealous boyfriends close by. Sam and I are sitting on the top of the picnic table with our feet on the bench, so we look to our front and see 4 girls from different sororities walking towards us. They stop about 3 meters from us and ask if they can talk to me. I tell them they sure can and ask what I can do for them. They are all average height, around 165 cm, slim but not skinny, and are a blonde, a brunette, a redhead, and one with almost pure white hair. Their fronts all look nice, pretty faces with very little makeup, a variety in the breast department just like the hair department, and I do believe they are all natural. Not a silicone pair on any of them. The redhead seems to be the spokeswoman and asks, "Are you Didius Sanderson, Guardian Prime of Arcadia and the Guardian Solar Systems?" "Yes, I am, but that is a mouthful, so please call me DD for now." "Okay, thank you, DD. I am Eve, the blonde is Aline, the brunette is Brenda, and the platinum-haired girl is Cassandra. We are here because we 4 want to pledge ourselves to you. We want to submit ourselves to you and obey you in all ways." "Really? Wow. Sam, what do you think about this development?" "I think it has some interesting possibilities, sire. They are all beautiful. It may be very interesting indeed." "May I ask who Sam is and what is her part in your life?" "Sam is my #1 girl, my right hand, and my PA. There are a few other girls that are around as well. They will come before you in my life. Could you accept that?" "Yes, we can. We saw what you did and said to Priscilla Prudhomme. You turned her down flat, but weren't an asshole about it. We have heard and seen what being a concubine with the Confederacy entails, and we know we will be treated a lot better by you and by your other girls." The platinum-haired girl steps forward, saying that our families knew each other, and unless I have changed a lot, she knows I will not allow them to be hurt or harmed as they hear slaves in the Confederacy are. "I recognize you now. Cassie, you have changed a lot. Are you 18 yet?" "Yes, DD, I just turned 19. I didn't know if you'd remember me since we moved away 6 years ago when I was 13. "I do remember you, though you were very shy around me back then. Are you sure you want to do something like this? Are you all sure you want to do this?" All 4 say they are sure, and that they want to be my concubines. Okay, I have some questions, and there are some things you need to know before we go any further with this. First thing, my life and everything and everyone near me are recorded 24/7, and the recordings are saved and stored. Are you okay with that? They all say they are okay with being recorded when with me. I don't like lies or cheating, and if we are together, I expect you to be faithful and honest with me and with each other, including the ones you haven't met yet. Do any of you have boyfriends or significant others? Each girl says they do not have a boyfriend or significant other. I ask to see their cap cards. I take a quick look and see a 6.1, 2X, 6.2, S, and a 6.3. I pass the cards to Sam, and she tells me their subscores are all good, except for aggression and courage. They weren't good soldier material, apparently. I ask if they have taken the enhanced cap yet. They tell me they all have. I get the Arcadian cards from them one at a time, so I can see by the card security features that it is theirs and trade them to Sam for their Confederacy cap cards. I give those back to them. Sam said the Arcadian cards showed they were just normal girls, though all 4 tended to look out for themselves most of the time. I give the girls back their Arcadian cards. I tell them we aren't going anywhere for at least 3 months, if not longer, depending on how long some things take to get accomplished. I tell them we should get to know each other over the next 3 months and see if we are compatible before saying yay or nay. I tell them to think about some things tonight And if they are still willing, then all of us will spend the next 3 months getting to know each other. And at the end of 3 months, we can decide to stay together or not. I tell them to think about the following. All 4 of them will end up being together sexually sooner or later, with and without me involved. Are they okay with that? Anything I want sexually speaking they will do. They will be faithful to me and each other. And on the non-sexual side, I will expect them to speak their mind to me, and above all, to always be honest with me and each other. They will contribute in any way they can to making our lives together happy and will work at whatever job they'd like to do. They won't sit around all day doing SFA, sweet fuck all. If you agree with these things I've said, meet me at my apartment tomorrow at 9 a.m. and let me know. I will date one of you each night this week before we go on group dates. Sex will more than likely happen on our first date. Brenda raises her hand and says, I'm still a virgin and would like to stay that way until we are married. If you feel that way, then you shouldn't be here, Brenda. Remember, you came to me and offered to be my concubine, to pledge yourself to me, and to submit to me in all ways. I'm not going to wait until we are married to have sex with you. I'll tell you right now that I will expect to fuck you on our first date if you show up tomorrow morning and decide this is what you want. You really need to think this over tonight and decide if this is what you want to do. You all should think this over tonight. The girls all agree to think about everything overnight and to meet me at the apartment at 9 a.m. tomorrow. They head off to classes and I ask Sam to transport us to the apartment. We arrive at the apartment and open the windows to air it out, change the sheets and towels as they've been sitting there for a while, and see what is in the fridge still. Nothing. Good. We will need to get a few things, it seems. Don't you think you were a little hard on Brenda the Virgin, Dee? Well, first off, I doubt she is a virgin, Sam, and I'm sure she was already trying to see if she could dictate what happens in our relationship. If I let her do it now, she would always try to do so, and so would the others. I wanted her and the other 3 to realize that ain't going to happen. If they show up tomorrow, they will have 3 months to see if they like being my concubine. They are right, though, that being my concubine will be better than being a Confederacy concubine. Sam, I want to know what you and the girls think about this. I know the scientists are working on the body thing already, and I too am hoping they can make it happen. If you and the girls are not okay with this, I will nip it in the bud tomorrow morning. Thank you for asking and taking us into consideration, Dee. We too are hoping they are successful. You have said more than once that I am your right hand, your Sam, and today you let those 4 girls know that there are others before them. We are grateful for that. We have no problem if those 4 become a part of your life, as they will be a part of our lives. We will feel the same if there are others that come in the future. Okay, that is good to know. I guess I will be keeping the apartment a while longer. I'm not going to have them on board the J&J yet. Not until I am certain it will work out. We'll need to bring some food and drink down tomorrow too. Let's head back to the J&J, Sam. I did some more reading on the Elven and the Guardian Council. It was pretty interesting, but also seemed like a huge pain in the ass dealing with all the different races. Sam contacted a few countries and set dates for talks with China and Russia in late July, early August. She told me her calls were well received and that many of the countries said they would show their recognition immediately online and with a public news conference. Awesome. Angela called later that afternoon thanking us again for a copy of the interview. She made herself another copy before turning it into her editor. She said he didn't seem happy when she turned it in, saying she had found a copy. She asked about getting a tour of my ship, and I told her not to press her luck. Ha ha ha. E called to let us know there would be a vote on recognizing Arcadia's and my sovereignty tomorrow afternoon. She said I had backed them into a corner, revealing the contents of the rumored amended agreement, and the fact that Russia and China knew about it as well. She said she thought they would vote yes, albeit by a slim margin. Hey, Sam, when we get trade agreements done, we're going to need a lot of material for the OFR once it's built. Can we recycle anything for use with it? Yes, we can recycle anything and use it in the replicators, DD. What were you thinking of recycling? Well, there is that huge trash island out in the Pacific Ocean that is as big as the state of Texas. I wondered if we could recycle all that and use it. Maybe all the landfills worldwide as well. There must be a gazillion tons of trash we could recycle. Recycling all the trash would take a long time and would supply more than enough matter to build everything Arcadia is thinking of trading, depending on quantities. If you included the landfills, the trash would probably provide way more matter than we'd need. However, any extra matter could be stored for another day, sold, or even traded to other races. Do you plan to pay for the trash? Pay for their trash? Hopefully not. I'd like it if they simply let us get rid of it for them. We could also use any extra on Arcadia for building the farms, ranches, dairies, etc. I'd like to talk with the various rancher/farmer/dairy associations and get their input into ideal hectares for individual operations in each industry, ideal equipment setups, etc. And from those that want to go, get the ranch or farm setup that they'd give their right arm to have. They would run the operation for me and receive a salary and could later decide if they wanted to buy it or not. You know, DD, we may be able to talk with them before the summer comes. I'll look into the different associations and let you know what I find. I take it you want to talk to the associations in other countries too, not only in North America? Absolutely, Sam. Get lots of input and different ideas. Someone from China probably wouldn't have an idea of how to use a Western ranch and vice versa. We sat around with some of the security girls chatting until I decided it was my bedtime. Good night, ladies. I'll see you all tomorrow. Good night, DD, was heard from many voices. Good morning, chef. A cup of DD coffee and my hash for breakfast, please. I had customized a few different meals so I could order them by number instead of selecting each item through the database. I'll also need the following items to take down to my apartment and listed off several items to have for entertaining at the apartment. Sam was at the table when I sat down and we went through the usual morning banter. Traffic to the Arcadia website had gone through the roof while we were there on spring break, and the web first came up with the animation I had asked about, and once I approved it, they'd put it online. I brought the website up on the TV, and it was exactly what I had been thinking about. Basically, it was showing people, stores, and life activities in a neighborhood in Guardian City. A visitor to the website could even change what stores and activities were in their neighborhood. This looks awesome, Sam. Exactly what I was looking for. I think it will give people a better visual of what living in Guardian City could be like. Have them put it online ASAP, and thank them for me, please. There have also been a significant number of countries showing via the website that they acknowledge Arcadia's sovereignty and look forward to future trade possibilities. That is excellent, Sam. Now, if the vote today goes our way, all the better. Now, shall we go and put these things in the apartment and see who shows up? We had put the things I got from Chef away and made a pot of coffee when the buzzer rang, and I saw the 4 girls on the video monitor. I buzzed them up and went to the apartment door to let them in, each one giving me a hug and quick peck on the lips as they entered. Huh? I guess they decided on giving it a try. I asked the girls if they wanted coffee or anything, and they declined, saying they couldn't stay long as they had classes. They said they had each thought about everything I had said yesterday and that they still wanted to pledge themselves to me and be my concubines. I said, okay, we would spend the next 3 months getting to know each other and then at that time decide if we wanted to make it permanent. I told them I'd take Eve out on a date tonight, Cassandra Wednesday night, Brenda Thursday, and Aline on Friday. I told Eve I'd pick her up at 6 p.m. and got her address. I then exchanged cell numbers with each of them, telling them to feel free to call whenever they wanted to. The girls had to get going to class, so I walked them to the door and, starting with Eve, gave each girl as good a kiss as I've ever given, thanking each of them for coming. I could tell Eve and Cassandra got into the kiss quicker than Aline and Brenda, but I figured I could work on them during our dates. I told the girls I thought they should show each other a little love too and to give each other a kiss. They did kiss each other, but it was easy to see that Aline and Brenda really got into their kiss, and it was pretty passionate. Their faces were a little flushed when they left. Very interesting. Sam tells me she has contacted various ranch, farm, and dairy associations, and most of them have national seminars coming up in May and June, and that we would be welcome to attend. They also said that if we let them know what we were interested in, they could get that information out to their members and possibly have some responses before the seminars. I told her I'd like to go over that with her and get them the information as soon as possible. We go over again what info I'm looking for and how I'd like to know in detail what the farmer, rancher, or dairy people thought would be the ideal setup for their particular industry. Sam said she'd get a professional-looking request made up and sent to the necessary people. I went off to class knowing Sam would be waiting for me afterwards. I was a little anxious knowing the vote was being held while I was in class, but there wasn't anything I could do about it, and the results wouldn't be known until just after my last class was over. I had my fingers crossed. Sam met me after class and I could tell the vote had gone our way. She told me voting hadn't been completed yet, but the yes vote was ahead by about 20% over the no votes, with the majority of the no votes coming from those that had made the proposal, if you believe the rumors that there was a proposal. I told her we'd make sure the public got hold of that information, and maybe it would cost some of them their seat in the next election. For now, it was back to the J&J to relax, eat, and get ready for my date with Eve. I did mention to Sam we should put a temporary food replicator in the apartment. You know, just in case. She said one would be put it tonight unless I stayed overnight. I had Sam transport me in my car down to the apartment parking garage, and then I went to pick up Eve at her sorority. The view as I waited in the lounge for Eve was very, very nice. Lots of sexy, smiling co-eds passing by. I barely managed not getting caught by Eve checking out all the girls, thanks to a warning from my security detail. We left the sorority and walked over to the theater in the park, a place that often has plays or live music from 6:10 p.m. There was a quintet playing classical music, so we sat and listened to them, quietly talking and learning a little about each other. Eve snuggled in close and whispered in my ear if we could go to my apartment, as she was dying for another kiss from me, but wanted it in private. Back to the car and raced to the apartment. After arriving at the apartment, I asked Eve if she wanted a glass of wine or anything, and she said no thanks. But could I come to her now? Wow, Eve was a firecracker. Very passionate and held nothing back. I warned her it had been a while and I'd probably come fast. The first time. Well, I did. Come fast the first time. Eve has great oral skills and had her nose in my balls when I shot my load down her throat maybe a minute into her blowjob. I didn't lose my heart on, and after dining at the Y and finding out she's a natural redhead, I gave her my second shot of cum in her pussy and the third shot in her ass before I could do no more. We took a shower together and Eve said she was definitely up for more anytime I wanted her. I drove her back to the sorority and walked her to the lounge, giving her a kiss goodnight before returning to the car and heading back to the apartment. I left the car in the parking garage and had Sam transport me back to the ship. Of course, she and the girls were waiting and wanted to be told everything. I asked if they weren't watching us during the date, and they said they wouldn't do that without my permission, and that the security girls wouldn't tell them anything. I told them I was going to my sleep trainer for another session and then bed, and that they could watch the video if they wanted to, and they all squealed, "Thank you, thank you, thank you" to me. And I'm sure I heard someone say something about popcorn. Ha ha ha. Sam told the girls they'd watch the video in a few minutes after she brought me up to speed on the vote. We both heard many au revoirs and hurry-ups, so Sam cut straight to the chase and told me the yes vote won by the 20% margin. The newsies had mostly been positive, with our one friendly media corps being negative, and they mostly interviewed those that voted no. How each politician voted was now public, but the fact that they were the same ones that tried creating the rumored proposal was not. I wanted that information put on our website. I told her thanks for the update, and she could go watch the video now before the girls rioted. Ha 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 ha. Wednesday morning, excellent. Another great morning. I wonder if the great sex with Eve has anything to do with my great mood this morning. Maybe, could be. Sam notices my good mood and says, "Damn, DD, you're so happy a person would think you got laid last night." Well, shit if Sam and every security girl didn't fall to the floor laughing. I had to laugh too, so I couldn't give them shit about it. Several of the girls had evil grins when they looked at me and said they couldn't wait until the scientists perfected their sex bodies. Coffee and breakfast are done, so I say to Sam, "Let's go down to the offices and see what Mark and Dean think of last night's news." Sam transports us to the offices, and we went in to see Mark. "Well, D, I guess congratulations are in order. The politicians vote yes and formally recognize you and Arcadia's sovereignty yesterday. So what's next? Next up is getting the money together, getting an ore refinery and orbital factory replicator in place out in space near the asteroid belt so we can start producing products for trade. We're also looking at recycling that garbage island that's in the Pacific and garbage from landfills so we have enough matter for building everything we will need. And we've got to get things going regarding Arcadia as well. So there are lots of things to do. Are you still determined to stay and fight the swarm on Earth? Yes, I am DD, though there is no idea yet when anything will get started here on Earth. Yeah, some people need to get on the Confederacy's ass and get the equipment and weapons they promised to provide. But whenever it happens and you want to leave, let Dean know and make sure your replacement for here is ready to take over. I can't see Dean having any problem with it. And contact myself or Sam when you want to come up to the J&J for the medical treatments and enhancements. You can choose to get them so they are effective immediately or so they take 3 months to become fully effective. I took the 3-month option, and so far it's like they are more natural. The procedure will require you to stay overnight on the J&J. Okay, if you took the 3-month route, so will I. Usually if something has a more natural feel to it, it is more effective. Can I get them done now? If I can plan on me coming up for the procedure Saturday night, if that is good for you. Excellent, Mark. Sam or I will get in touch before then to confirm what time she'll transport you up to the J&J. We took our leave and headed for the front. Of course, there were news people there waiting, and they were still civilized when we walked down in front of them. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being civil again first thing this morning. I take it you have some questions for me, so let's get to it and I'll answer what I can. How do you feel about winning the vote yesterday and your sovereignty being accepted? I am very glad the majority voted yes, obviously. It makes it easier to move forward and get things started. What would you like to say to those that voted against the agreement? I knew there would be votes against it. Obviously, there were some that wanted power and control, and I believe that's what the no votes were all about. There are always people that will vote against a proposal without any real reason to. Though I'd bet if you looked at the names of those who voted no, you'd see a lot of the names of the politicians that were writing the rumored proposal. I could see that shocked some of them. What is your next step? We need to start gathering materials so we can start building in space. We need to build the infrastructure before we can start producing items for trade. We have already started that process and have some things on their way here. Okay, one last question and then we have to leave. We always see you and Sam together. Are you two dating or are you single? Laughing, Sam and I look at each other before I say, well, at the moment, Sam and I are not dating. She is my hash one, my right hand, and my PA. I have recently started dating again, though, so I am no longer single. Now we have to go, so I will wish you all a great day. We made our way over to the campus and just wandered around until Sam asked me to stop and grab a seat as she just received news concerning the interview we did with Angela. Apparently, the professor/editor had called an old friend of ours, one Priscilla Prudhomme, and told her that Angela had submitted a copy of the interview, so he would have to run it on the campus news. Priscilla told him she'd make it worth his time if he got rid of the video again as he had the first time. The professor told her to come to his office and convince him it would be, despite all the possible problems. Well, the video of the two together shows that Priscilla does indeed have an awesome body and really can do things with it that would drive you crazy. At least what she did drove the professor crazy. It looks like Priscilla has been fucking the professor for better grades than she deserves, and for getting her an interview with a major news media company. She has dreams of being the next blonde talking head for a major news station. I told Sam to make sure the video is emailed to the university chancellor and faculty, as well as to all the news media outlets. I said to make sure the sender of the video can't be traced back to any specific person. Consider it done, DD. Any second thoughts about turning her down after seeing what she can do with that body? I have to admit that she is hot. No second thoughts at all, Sam. She reminds me of that old song about trouble. The professor-student scandal didn't stay in the headlines for very long. The professor was terminated and Priscilla was expelled, and that was pretty much the end of it. Angela's interview with me went over very well with both the public and news organizations, and even got her an interview with the same media corp that Priscilla was supposed to interview with. Sam and I spent the next couple weeks going over results from the enhanced CAP tests and slowly started identifying people we wanted to ask to go to Arcadia. I dated each of the girls, and Yes, I did end up fucking each one on the first date. I was surprised that Brenda really was a virgin. Brenda and Aline did get into the girl-girl action a little more than Eve and Cassandra, while Cassandra really enjoyed using toys. Eve, well, Eve was up for pretty much anything. Unfortunately, things went south just after our third week together. Sam and I were in the park near the campus when my security warned us of 3 men approaching. The 3 stop a couple meters away and one guy asks, "You're Didius, right? You have your own planet and those spaceships out by the moon, right?" "Yes, I am Didius, and yes to your other questions. What is your name and how can I help you?" "My name is Larry, and I wonder why with everything you have to hit on another guy's girlfriend?" "Well, Larry, I've only recently started dating again and haven't hit on any girls in a long time. What is your girlfriend's name and what makes you think I've been hitting on her?" "My girlfriend's name is Eve. Pretty redhead. Hangs out with 3 other girls named Aline, Brenda, and Cassandra. A friend of mine said he saw you talking with them and that things looked pretty friendly. I asked Eve about it and she said that Cassandra grew up with you and that they had run into you on campus. She said you flirted with them and asked her out, but she told you that she had a boyfriend. All 3 of the others said Eve was telling me the truth and that you asked her out, but she turned you down." "Huh, they all said that, did they?" "I'm guessing you won't believe me when I tell you that they, all 4 of them, came to me and pledged themselves to me as my concubines. But will you believe video? They lied to you, Larry. Every single one of them. And Eve lied to me when I asked each of them if they had a boyfriend or significant other, and she said she didn't. I told them I was monitored 24/7, but it looks like they didn't believe me. Sam, send Larry the video of the first time I met the girls. Just our initial meeting. He doesn't need to see what has gone on in my apartment since then." Larry looks at and listens to the video and is seriously pissed. That lying bitch and her girlfriends fucking lied to me too. We are so fucking done. Fuck, I can't believe it. Wait, you said I didn't need to see what went on in your apartment. Did she go to your apartment and fuck you? Larry, as you saw in the video, I've been dating all 4 of them for a little more than 3 weeks now. And yes, they have all been to my apartment. And yes, I have fucked each of them. But it won't happen again because they lied to me, and I won't be seeing any of them again. Shit, damn bitch. I suppose you have that on video as well? Never mind, I don't need to see it, or I'll just get pissed at you again and it isn't your fault she's a cheating bitch. Can you wait while I make a video call to her? I want to tell her I confronted you and see what she has to say. I say I can hang out for a while. Larry calls Eve and I recognize her voice when she answers. Hey, love, what's up? Hi, Eve. I'm calling because I confronted that Didius dude about his hitting on you. He denied it and said that you and your friends went to him and asked to be his concubines. Of course he's going to deny it, babe. What else would you expect him to do? I told you the truth, babe. I wouldn't lie to you. You know that. Isn't that right, girls? Aline, Brenda, and Cassandra can be heard saying, yeah, that's right, in agreement with Eve. Larry motions for me to come beside him and the girls panic and start screaming, no, 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 when I show up on Eve's screen. The girls start crying. What are you doing with him? We didn't mean it, DD. We're sorry. Please forgive us. We are done, girls. You all lied, and Eve, you cheated on top of the lying. I don't want to see or hear from any of you again. Eve is now screaming. Larry, you fucked everything up. I need him to take me off Earth. I would have found a way to take you too, and now you ruined our chance. Larry did nothing wrong, Eve. So as far as I'm concerned, his chance isn't ruined at all. But it most certainly is for all 4 of you. I don't know if the others cheated like you did, Eve, but they all lied. I'd take a Confederacy pickup if I was any of you, because you sure won't be going to Arcadia. Sam put them all on the No Way Jose list. Eve, we are done too. I wonder if this is something you 4 have done before. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you would do your best to get taken during a pickup if you were ever in one, Larry says. Larry cuts the call with Eve and apologizes to me. I tell him don't sweat it, I'd have been pissed too. And at least he listened before trying anything else. He asks if I meant what I said, that his chance isn't fucked up. I tell him he did nothing wrong and ask him if he took the enhanced test yet. No, he hasn't. I tell him to take the enhanced test as he can't go without it. I ask him what he is studying, and he says political science, but is not too keen on it as real politics doesn't seem to match the theoretical politics taught in class. Politics? Sam, what's Larry's cap score and subscores? He may be someone to take to Arcadia having studied political science. Larry has a 6.5 cap score and similar subscores, and it appears he is easily manipulated by pretty women. Okay, thanks, Sam. That easily manipulated thing will be something to keep an eye on if he's offered a spot to come to Arcadia. I make a note to get Sam to keep an eye for his name for when he takes the enhanced test, and see if he is someone we want to take to Arcadia. I ask his two friends if they have taken the enhanced cap, and they say have, but there was no score, and their Confederacy cap was only 6.1. I ask what they are studying, and they said they weren't students but were friends of Larry's and came to support him. They worked in the family businesses. I perked up a bit and asked, "What is your family business?" They laugh and say, "We have a pretty big family and have a couple butcher shops, a bakery, an auto detail shop, and even an uncle with a Christmas tree lot." You need to take a look at the Arcadia website. Your businesses are all small, family-run businesses. Exactly the kind of businesses I want on Arcadia. Small family businesses, not mega corporations. And the Arcadia card doesn't show the score. But I will tell you how you can see it. Will you give your names to Sam so we can have a look at the results from your enhanced cap test? They give their names to Sam. I explain to them how to see their score on their Arcadia card, and we take our leave. I'm hoping their family is really big and they qualify to go to Arcadia. Sam and I get into the car and go to the apartment. I guess we don't need to stay here right now. Sam says she is sorry those bitches did that to me. I said they didn't do much. It was still very early in the relationship, and we may have found people for Arcadia. Plus, I got laid a lot. There are only a few more weeks left until I have my degrees, and then I'd be working full-time on Arcadia, and I wanted to have as much as we could get started in other things, at least in the preliminary stages. During this time, we had the androids put together the pieces for the orbital factory replicator and put it into position out by the asteroid belt, locking it in place using a gravity anchor. Gravity anchors can be configured to anchor an object in space using any nearby star or planet's gravity as the reference point. Once the Bjorn ore refinery arrives, supposedly next week, which would put it ahead of schedule, we would position it out here as well. As soon as it was ready, I had the orbital factory replicator start building 2 recycler ships that could be used both in space and in a planet's atmosphere. I was going to put them to work cleaning up that garbage island in the Pacific so we'd be able to replenish and build a stockpile of matter for replicating. That was going to take a while to clean up. We had to pause when building the second recycler ship until we got our first container of recycled matter, as we were running low on the stuff. Once I was done at the university, I would get a few more recycler ships made and see if we couldn't negotiate recycling some of the garbage in the bigger landfills on Earth. Sam and I finally took the time to look over different space station designs, and I authorized one to be built for Arcadia. If you can imagine taking 2 wide and shallow bowls, turn one upside down, place a thick spacer between the two, and then join them and the spacer together, you'd have our space station. Of course, there are openings in various locations for viewing, as well as several bays for spacecraft to land and depart from. The space station would be positioned with its narrower ends containing the communications and sensors arrays, facing the planet and the heavens, and it comes in at 2.5 kilometers in width, x 1.5 kilometers in height overall. I told Sam to keep this design in mind, but maybe a smaller version with just hotel rooms and restaurants for Earth orbit. Hey Sam, has Larry taken the enhanced cap yet? What about his 2 buddies, the ones with the business family? Larry has taken the enhanced cap and does fit the profile we are looking for. So do Daryl, and yes, those really are their names. I have been in contact with them, and Larry is a definite, while Daryl want to go, but not everyone in the family does. That is understandable, as their businesses here on Earth are doing very well. I will, however, keep an eye on them for the future. Classes now were mind-numbing, people scrambling to learn what they should already know. I wished I could just take the exams now and get them over with. Even the girls did try to trash me with other co-eds on campus, but enough people saw the truth in Larry's video on our website and put their shit down. The 4 shut their yaps fairly quickly and decided to keep a low profile. I'm still doing the sleep course and am anxious for it to be over so I can have a normal sleep. Up again bright and early, Coffee, workout, shower, another coffee, breakfast, and catch the latest news from Sam and my commanders. All is quiet, though the newsies are wondering when Arcadia will start making factories and when they can get pictures of everything. I guess they think everything can be done with the snap of our fingers, and that I'd take them to the area in space for pictures. Geez, Louise, not likely. Tuesday, the Bjornore refinery arrived, and I had the Confederacy put it out by the asteroid belt with the orbital factory replicator. I got Sam to do a complete systems check, verifying everything was operating properly before letting the Dargy leave. With the ore refinery in place, we could start mining larger asteroids and collecting smaller ones, as it came with 5 automated mining bots. The mining bots could be programmed to find whatever ores we were looking for, and using sensors, they would search out and return to the refinery with asteroids containing the specified ores. The asteroids would then be placed into the platform for processing, since we now had enough matter for the replicators and had an abundant source of matter in Garbage Island. We no longer needed to use the refinery for building materials, so we programmed it in the mining bots to look for rare ores and precious metals. It would be a slow process, but we didn't need anything right away. DD, your exams are on Tuesday and Wednesday next week, correct? Yes, they are, Sam. One in the morning and the other after lunch. Why, what's up? Well, we have visits scheduled with Russia, China, India, and the UK from late July to early August. And I was wondering if you wanted to go back to Arcadia for a bit before things get hot and heavy. Okay, Sam, make plans to go shortly after my exams unless things change. Sam smiles and nods in agreement. The exams on Tuesday and Wednesday were sort of anticlimactic. I believe I did fairly well on them and would find out in 2 weeks or less when grades are supposed to be available. Okay, Sam, let's go over how things look at the moment. First, how are we doing as far as matter for replicator use? Will we have enough for everything that is about to happen? With the 2 recycler ships working on that island of garbage, almost every recycled matter storage container we have is full. And we probably need to have a few hundred more replicated if you still plan on recycling landfills. We have more than enough at the moment to cover current plans. Okay, great. Yes, I still plan on seeing about recycling landfills in the future, so if we need more of the containers, please have more made now. Better to have and not need than to need and not have. Also, check with Riker and see if he needs any. I want him to continue making the ships for PGs for the same reasoning I just mentioned for the storage containers. Can you think of anything else that needs our attention or that we should get started on right now? Nothing is pressing at the moment, though you should talk to Larry soon and see if he wants to sign up. He is a smart guy, and I think he would be a great help getting people for Arcadia. That's right, he studied political science, didn't he? But isn't he easily manipulated? That would be something we'd need to keep an eye on. Have a look at his grades and what his professors had to say about him. I wonder if he'd be interested in being the first mayor of Guardian City. Our grades should be available sometime within the next week or 2. See if you can set up a meeting with him for as soon as you've got the information. We'll do DD. Any plans for tomorrow? None I can think of. Why? Some of the girls and I would like you to go with us to that theater in the park place again. There is supposed to be a rock and roll band there tomorrow, starting at noon. Okay, sure. Why not? I will warn you, though, that the band might not be very good. Some of the girls went and heard them playing in a garage and said they sounded okay. Not like professionals sound, but it sounded like they knew what they were doing. Oh yeah, a garage band. What the hell? Let's go and give it a try. We arrived at the park about 15 minutes before the band was supposed to start and could see they were doing some adjustments and sound checks. We sat on the grass and were just chatting while waiting for the band to start when people started coming over and asking if I was that Guardian Prime guy for Arcadia. I said I was, and they started asking questions about Arcadia and living there. I answered what I could and noticed there was quite a crowd around us and that the band looked to be waiting to start. I asked everyone if we could stop the Q&A until after the band finished playing. Many nodded and everyone started looking for a place to sit. The girl on stage I took as the lead singer spoke into the mic thanking me for breaking up my press conference and said I was welcome to come on stage and use their sound equipment after they were done. I just waved my hand, indicating I hear her, and as a thank you. Surprisingly, the band was pretty good, playing mostly classic rock and roll tunes and the more commercial heavy metal tunes. The girls really enjoyed the music, and I have to say that I did too. The 2 hours they were supposed to play for flew by, and the next thing I knew they were saying that their show was over and would I come up to the stage. We made our way to the stage and the girl introduced herself as Maxine and pointed the mic at each of us in turn so we could introduce ourselves. I had to laugh at Maxine's face when the girls said their names. She wouldn't believe them. Well, Dedis, we all know you have been a busy guy, what with finding a planet, fighting the swarm, zapping that reporter guy, and vacationing with babes on Arcadia. So what is next? Maxine, why do you remind me of a reporter? I had my exams Tuesday and Wednesday, like every other student at the university, and now we're looking at our summer schedule as we have some visits to make in July and August. Seriously, I thought you being a university student was a joke. When did you slow down and find time to study? We slow down when we can. Today, for example. Today is our slow day. We're just getting started, so there is a lot to do. Okay, I'm done with my interview, ha 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 ha. Can you keep the Q&A session to an hour or less? We need to pack and get home sometime today. Let's ask the crowd. Can we pack things up in an hour? We can? Okay, Maxine, no more questions after an hour. A lot of the questions were in a similar vein. What could they do on Arcadia? What would things cost? How much would a job pay? Etc. I pointed out that a lot of what they asked would depend on their skills and experience, what they wanted to study, and that on the website there was a breakdown of some wage brackets for different skills, as well as prices for housing, both renting and buying. I reminded them that these were all projected, and we couldn't be certain until we were there and settled. A girl asked why she would go back to being considered a kid if she went to Arcadia when she was an adult on Earth. How old are you now? What does that matter? I'd like to know if you were 14 before the Confederacy arrived. I have just turned 17. Okay then, before the Confederacy arrived, did you think of yourself as an adult or as a teenager? I thought of myself as a teenager, but it's different now. I'm an adult. At 17, you were on the cusp of being an adult by pre-Confederacy standards. Do you think you know more now at 17 than you did at 14? Of course I do. Back then, the hardest thing to decide was what to wear to school. Now I'm trying to support myself and my 14-year-old sister. Is that your sister beside you? It seems you have a lot of responsibility now, even for a 17-year-old. But it appears by looking at the two of you that you are able to handle it. We are doing okay, but it is tough. We're supposed to look for people with the magical 6.5 score to take us away, but we don't want to be slaves or whores. We saw one pickup, and both of us could not do what the other girls were doing. We would have been able to go with our parents, but we weren't with them when they got picked up and couldn't have gone anyways, except as their slaves or whores. Okay, look, it's my opinion that the Confederacy decided that 14-year-olds would be considered adults because that is the age when humans can start producing children. Yes, it can happen earlier, but for the most part, by the time we're 14, we humans can reproduce. I believe they didn't consider 14-year-olds to be adults because they were knowledgeable or had a lot of experience, but because they could be soldiers and could make babies. Another girl says, I'm 20, and there are a whole bunch of people where I live that are between 14 and 18 years old. Both guys and girls. I'm pretty sure everyone is below the 6.5 score. Some were put in the government housing after their parents were extracted. But some of the people running the places expect them to fuck them to continue staying there. They don't want to be conks or sex slaves to anyone, but they are without anyone or any means to support themselves. What will happen to them if they want to go to Arcadia? The first girl says, yeah, that is what my sister and I would like to know too. What will happen to us? Okay, the first thing you will need to do, if you haven't already, is to take the enhanced CAP test. Everyone 14 and older has to take it before being considered for immigration to Arcadia. You have to take it because here on Earth you are considered an adult. Now persons 14, 18 years old are considered adults on Earth and therefore can choose to go to Arcadia. If they choose to go to Arcadia, they will be considered adolescents and will be placed with a family or in the guardian orphanage where they will be provided free of charge until their 18th birthday. Services such as housing, food, clothing, education, and social opportunities such as sports, field trips, etc. You can look at and see the Guardian Orphanage and Guardian City on the Arcadia website. That is what will happen once we get to Arcadia. While we are still here on Earth, I'd have to make arrangements for some type of housing while someone looked into how many persons we'd be looking at. You there, the 20-year-old girl. What is your name and have you taken the enhanced cap test yet? My name is Sarah Reynolds and yes, I have taken the test. I have my Arcadia card here with me. DD, her Arcadia cap is 6.4 with high sub-scores in compassion and caring for others, especially those that are younger than her, but lower scores in traits required for a good soldier. She would probably do well running the Guardian Orphanage in Guardian City. I give Sarah her card back and ask her, Sarah, would you be interested in running an Arcadian orphanage while here on Earth for boys and girls 14, 18 years old? Maybe the 17-year-old and her sister would like to help? Sorry, girls, but I don't know your names or if you've taken the enhanced cap test. I'm Sandy and my little sister is Mandy. We've both taken that test and have our cards with us. Sarah, if you take the job offer, I will help you. Both of us will. We need a safer place to live too. I'll take the job offer, sir. When can I start? First, no more calling me sir. I'm only a few years older than you. Call me DD. Why don't the three of you meet with Sam over there and she can get some information from you and we can let Maxine and her band get going. Everyone, thank you for your questions, and if you have any others, please check out the website and post them there if you can't find an answer. Someone will answer them as quickly as possible. Sorry about going longer than an hour, Maxine. Shit, Didaz, you were helping those girls and who knows how many others. I wasn't about to cut that off. Still, thank you, and my thanks to your band. Didaz! Didaz! I turned to see a young guy waving his hand in the air. Yes, what can I do for you? How can I help with the Arcadia house here in the Guardian Orphanage? I've taken the enhanced test and have both cards with me as well. Go over and give your information to Sam, then talk to her and Sarah about how you can help. Cool, thanks. I look over and see Sam with a lot of people around, listening to what she is saying about the orphanage, about Arcadia, and about me. I walk over and they all seem pleased with what they were told. No angry faces in the crowd and no one yelling. DD, I have all their information, and Sarah says that Sandy and Mandy can stay with her while we look for proper housing here on Earth. This gentleman here is Bob, and he is going to help them with anything that needs to be done. Sandy has seen the Guardian Orphanage on the website, but didn't relate it to their situation here, because it's called an orphanage, and they don't consider themselves orphans. She has some ideas on how to get that message across better, and the web first will have an example for you to look at and approve once we are back on the J&J. Very good, Sam. We'll start looking for housing tomorrow, and we should make the same offer to 14, 18-year-olds worldwide. Sarah, what do you think of helping worldwide instead of just here? And if all goes well, you'd get first chance at running the orphanage in Guardian City as well. You would want me to run it? Here and in Guardian City? I'd love to, but do you think I could do it? Yes, yes, and yes. So start thinking about what you need to get started. Check the website and make sure that those who need this can understand what we are trying to do. Make sure they know the rules and know that they won't be adults, and that they will have to go to school. Sam knows how to contact you, so she'll call tomorrow and see about getting you started. Now I am hungry and need food. Who else wants to eat? My treat. I guess I should have waited until most of the crowd had left before saying that. Ha 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 ha. Oh well, there were only about 15 of us that hit the pizza place a few blocks away, and I had to reassure the manager that I could pay for everything we ordered. In the end, we all had a good time, and only Sarah, Sandy, and Mandy noticed that Sam and the girls didn't eat or drink anything. Good morning, Dee. Did you sleep well? Good morning, Sam. Yes, I did, as a matter of fact, very well. How about you? How was Sam today? I am great, DD. The SHIELD commanders have nothing to report. Everything seems to be quiet in the news. There aren't any major snags happening yet. So far, everything is good. Let's hope it stays that way. Yes, indeed, Sam. What is on the agenda for today? I am going to contact Larry this morning and see when he is available to meet with you. His grades and comments from his professors are good, and he would make a good candidate for Guardian City's first mayor. We also need to go through more of the enhanced results and identify more people for migration to Arcadia. I have some first sifting through the results first, and then we can take a look. Okay, Sam, let me know when you set up a meeting with Larry. Are there any other good candidates for mayor from the test results? And we'll start going through those right after breakfast. There are a few people with political backgrounds, but they already have their own ideas as to how government should run and would be near impossible for them to not try and implement them. Larry is a blank slate right now and should be the best bet to run Guardian City the way you want it ran. We can have a first watch over him for a while and see how he does. Man, I couldn't believe the number of people whose CAP score was still under 6.5, even after taking the enhanced test. I started reading deeper down, and some of the subscores were scary. Some people had no empathy for others at all. We did identify a lot of people we'd like to see in Arcadia, as well as many who would be on the No Way Jose list. No way would I want them on Arcadia. Sam asks if I still wanted to find a building here for orphans. Yes, I do. See if an empty apartment building or hotel can be bought. Nothing extravagant, but big enough for our needs. Say in the neighborhood of housing around 2,400 persons, 4 persons to a room with each person having a bed, desk, chair, and locker or closet for clothes. What do you think? Sounds good. It's probably more than necessary, but better to be safe than sorry. Plus, this way, we shouldn't have to turn anyone away. If needed, we can have our androids do any repairs or construction, and furnishings and other items we need for them would be made by our replicators to keep our expenses down. I like the idea, Sam. Let's talk with Sarah today and get her thoughts on this. We can have the web first put the information on the website and set up Sarah with email and access so she can answer questions. We'll also need to buy her a cell phone she can use for orphanage business. This is excellent, Sam. You might want to see if any first want to be teachers as well. The orphans will be going to school while here on Earth and soon after they arrive on Arcadia. The school year on Arcadia will be 10 months long with a 2-week break halfway through for both students and teachers. We have many firsts that would love to teach, as well as some Earth teachers that have taken the enhanced CAP test and may fit our needs for Arcadia. Yeah, we'll need to look closely at any Earth teachers, Sam. I don't want any of the liberal fucks that seem to be in all the schools right now. The teachers on Arcadia will teach the prescribed curriculum and not their views, beliefs, or thoughts. If they fail to do so, they'll find themselves no longer teaching. Tell you what, have some of the first put together a curriculum for students from 18 years old for the first year here at the orphanage here and on Arcadia, as well as for the schools on Arcadia. Have them look at core courses from Earth and how they compare to similar Arcadian knowledge and come up with some sort of combo education for now. I also want courses on computers and health and fitness added immediately, while other more advanced courses would be offered on Arcadia after our first year there. Those 18 and older should have advanced subjects to choose from and be able to take them in a college or university setting, as well as the option of vocational trade schools and apprenticeship training. Have the first teachers look to see if it would be worth it to combine and teach the theory behind any newer Confederacy tech developed by their Earth contingent, and say one generation above that of Arcadia, First Tech, or to choose one or the other. I'm also thinking of reopening Guardian Academy, the military school for lack of a better word. It will be for both enlisted and officers, run by Guardians, where students will choose and learn subjects if they wish to become a Guardian and serve Arcadia, though I'd prefer to wait until after our first year to reopen it. They would be able to learn about all positions on the various ships, the different military technologies, as well as justice, law, and security. If they were interested in space exploration, they would study it at the Guardian Academy. Wow, have you been thinking of these things for a long time? This is a lot that you've never mentioned before. No, I haven't actually. It's like once I started talking about education, all this information was in my head. I think it might be because of the governing managing sleep training course I've been doing every night. It might be, though, I've never heard of sleep training manifesting in this way. We will have to see if it continues and maybe give you some tests. By the way, I got hold of both Larry and Sarah. Larry will meet us at the coffee shop at 10 a.m. and Sarah at 11. Great, let's head down to the apartment now and then walk over to the coffee house. Have the web first ready so we can give Larry and Sarah any access they require if they accept the positions we're going to offer them. I want Larry to go over everything we've put on the website and to make sure he understands what he'll be doing, how I want it done, and what happens if he tries doing things his way or someone else's way. I also want to make sure he understands the consequences that he, as a government official, will face in relation to not reporting or accepting any kind of bribery, embezzlement, murder, coup attempt, etc. We meet up with Larry at the coffee shop, and I ask if he'd be interested in being the first mayor of Guardian City. He'd oversee the day-to-day operations of the city and liaising with heads of other departments, ensuring they were following my policies. Here on Earth, he'd be involved in talking to those interested in migrating to Arcadia, noting any for further consideration. I stress to him and tell him to stress to others the fact that there is no democracy on Arcadia. And if people start giving him a hard time about this part, thank them for their time, remove them from the list with the reason for removal, and move on to the next person. If you have too many people trying to run things, you end up with a much better chance of someone being corrupt or power-hungry. As the benevolent dictator, they only need to worry about me being corrupt and power-hungry. I tell him that he will need to ensure people know they will be getting a citizen ID chip implanted before arriving on Arcadia. They will also be given a complete health checkup en route, and any defects or diseases will be fixed on Arcadia. Once people have accepted the invitation to migrate to Arcadia, they will need to use the website and choose where they want to live. This should be taken care of by the web-first programming, but he may need to ensure that they are choosing the proper places to live, i.e., a single person doesn't get to live in a 3-bedroom apartment, and also to ensure people are mixing with others from different countries. I don't want enclaves of only Chinese people, or Italian people, or white people, etc. He'll also be the one to hire people to head up different departments. He'll have a list of people to choose from, but he will do the choosing to ensure he is comfortable with them. I tell him that there will be a first watching over him for a while at the beginning to make sure my policies/rules/laws are followed. The laws are pretty plain and simple and will be taken care of by Guardian Police, which will not be part of his jurisdiction, so he need not worry about that. Right now, the Guardian Police are only first, but in the future, anyone can apply to join and will need to go through training. Well, Larry is ahead of the game and tells me he has gone over everything there is on the website and only has a few questions. The website states that a person can bring people other than family with them, or in the case single people, they can bring people depending on their Arcadia Cup score. How do they find their Arcadia Cup score so they know how many people they can bring? I'm surprised that the information is not on the site. Sam will make sure the web first get that online as soon as possible. Okay, Larry, take your Arcadia card and look at the middle in Arcadia while putting your thumb or finger in the lower right corner. You should see your name and a photo of your face appear on the card along with the word verified. In the upper right corner is your Arcadia Cap score. An invitee can bring a minimum of 2 people, no matter what their score. Scores 7 and above can bring the same number of people as if it was a Confederacy score. With your score, you can bring 4. Larry had bumped up to a 7.1, his being easily manipulated by women still hurting his score. He failed every scenario of this kind. Wow, nice card. I like the security on it. My next question is about the 3-year mandatory service in the GDF. When will that start? Everyone will probably spend the first year or 2 just getting acclimated to living on Arcadia. Something else we'll need to add to the website. Everyone migrating to Arcadia will have 11 months to decide if they want to stay and become Arcadian citizens or be returned to Earth. After the first year, people will be selected according to their birth dates and instructed to report to start their GDF duty, with all eligible people having started their duty by our 3rd year on Arcadia. Remember that just because they are part of the GDF doesn't mean they will be away from home all the time. It will be very similar to the U.S.'s National Guard. They live in their home and report when required for duty, the same as if they were in the National Guard here on Earth. Larry said he wanted to be mayor and would accept the offer now if he could. Sam and I welcomed him on board. Sam gave him access to the website explaining a few things and also gave him the pay and benefits information. He would be paid in U.S. dollars while on Earth and would change to Arcadian credits, $AC, once we were on our way to Arcadia. She would email him the forms for his personal history and contact information later today. She also tells him he will get a ULT, Universal Language Translator, similar in size to a hearing aid, and have a medical checkup done whenever he was available. It would entail a few hours on the J&J unless something serious was found during the medical. She gave him our contact numbers and made sure he knew he could call anytime. He said he'd call later today and let us know when he wanted to get the medical done and pick up the ULT. Sarah came in just as Larry was getting up, so we introduced them to each other and they switched places. Larry now standing and Sarah taking a seat. Larry thanked us for the opportunity and was going to let his parents know and celebrate. Let his parents know what? He just accepted our offer to be Guardian City's first human mayor. Him? But he's so young. Aren't politicians supposed to be old people? He is young. He's only a couple years older than you, Sarah. So am I, for that matter. Really? You look young, but I thought maybe you had that Confederacy medical shit done. Nope. This is me. 22 years old and just graduated from university. I have had an Arcadian medical checkup, and you will too, if you accept our offer to run the Guardian Orphanage. You'll also get a ULT that fits in your ear and is about the size of a hearing aid. It's a universal language translator. Have you looked over the website and do you know what you want it to say as far as the orphanage is concerned? You are offering me this job? To run the Guardian Orphanage here and then in Guardian City? Yes, we are offering you the position. You should know before anything else that we are looking for either an empty apartment building or hotel here for housing roughly 2,400 people. While here on Earth, you will be working from it. I want you to get 14, 18-year-old orphans from as many countries as possible, though. Not only from here. So the job is a little bigger than you probably thought it would be. Are you still interested? Do you still want the position? Yes, 1,000 times yes. And yes, I know exactly what I want the website to say. A couple questions come to mind, though. How will 14, 18-year-olds pay to get here? What will they do until we leave for Arcadia? What will their rules be? Okay, consider yourself hired, Sarah. As I mentioned, you will get a full medical checkup and a YELT whenever you are available and want to get them done. You will be required to visit the J&J, but it's usually over in a couple hours unless something serious is found. Get with Sam in a bit, and she can explain some things to you, tell you the pay and benefits, get you a cell phone, etc. My understanding is that the Confederacy gives the 14, 18-year-olds some money when their parents are extracted. They can use that money to pay to get here, or we may be able to pay for some. Remember, they all need to take the enhanced CAP test or they won't be considered. During their stay in our orphanage, they will be attending school, and that is mandatory. They will be in school shortly after arriving on Arcadia as well. The school year in Arcadia will be 10 months long with a 2-week break after 5 months. While they are at the orphanage and in our care, they will no longer be considered adults. They will be back to being kids again. I know the rules for the orphanage are on the website, and they will have to follow them here as well as on Arcadia. The biggest difference for them would probably be the age changes for consensual sex. They can legally have sex only with a person that is 2 years older than them or less. For example, the oldest person a 14-year-old can have sex with is a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old with a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old with an 18-year-old. A 17-year-old can have sex with a person of any age, because with the 2-year rule, they can have sex with a 19-year-old, which is above the age when a person is considered to be an adult. Excellent. I want to get the medical done and the will today. Can I? Can I hire Sandy and Mandy to help me? Yes, you can come up to the J&J and get the medical done and ult today. You can only hire Sandy and Mandy as part-timers, as they will both be in school. I guess you forgot about school. You will need to hire some help, though. And you can ask Sam or myself if you need anything. Sarah is bouncing in her seat, all excited. This is so awesome. Thank you so very much. If I come to your ship, do I have to fuck you? I am damn glad I wasn't drinking anything. Where the fuck did she get that idea from? No, Sarah, you don't need to fuck me, and I am surprised you would even think that. Sarah grins while saying, what if I want to fuck you, though? You're a beautiful girl, Sarah, but we don't know anything about each other. Let's get you working and get to know each other before going down that road, okay? Okay, DD, as long as you're not turning me down completely. I'd love for Sam to be with us too, just so you know. Sarah, I am going to say this just to make things absolutely clear. You do not have to have sex with myself or Sam or anyone to get this job. We both think you are capable of handling the position or we wouldn't have offered it to you. You understand? Yes, DD, I understand, and I am going to say this to both of you, so I am clear. I find you both very attractive and would love to fuck you both. No strings attached. Well, damn, I didn't see that one coming. Sarah and Sam got together, swapped info, and then we just had to get her a cell phone. Larry called, and the celebrating was canceled until tomorrow, so he wanted to get the ULT and medical checkup done tonight if possible. We told him to meet us at the cell store near the coffee shop, and I asked if he needed one. He said his cell was good, but asked about minutes for it. I told him to keep a record of calls and we'd reimburse him. We had Sarah's cell phone purchased by the time Larry arrived, so it was just a matter of transporting to the J&J. We gave them both the nickel tour of the J&J, and they were in a bit of a shock. Larry said that seeing is believing. It was easy to think of a spaceship and going to another planet, but actually seeing and being on the ship in person puts it in a whole different context. We got them both into the med beds and told them we'd see them in a few hours. No serious medical problem for either of them. So after introducing them to a meal from Chef, we transported them back to Earth.